There are lots of things that we do as software engineers and software developers that are tedious and manual and error prone. And so one of the things I've tried to do, both in terms of the teaching and the research and the actual practice of software engineering and software development, is try to find activities that are boring and mundane that can be turned over to some extent to generative AI under heavy oversight and guidance on my part, of course, or my TA's part. And so we do things, for example, like documentation, LLMs and various plugins like Copilot or Code Whisperer are very effective at being able to help document the code. They're also very useful for other activities that you have to deal with, like trying to figure out build dependencies and configurations and what parts of the code that you want to refactor. Generative AI turns out to be very effective these days, especially with newer versions of ChatGPT, at refactoring code, as well as taking code and finding ways to have it split into platform-dependent portions and platform-independent portions in order to make the code more portable. There's lots of other ways it's useful as well, but those are just some of the ones that I use in the courses that I teach.
Michael, how about you?
Yeah, so we have found that teaching architecture to students is not always the easiest thing in the world. And so one of the ways we've been using it is we've been using it as a black box that students have to architect into a larger system. And this has gotten students much more excited about the architecture assignment than they have ever been in the past, despite the fact that it's not maybe really using all of the possible value of Gen AI, but it has been something that students have responded quite positively to. We also encourage them to use it heavily for language constructs for new languages if they're not familiar with Python when they come into our course, to use it to help answer that. But ultimately also we are trying to start teaching in our classes, because I am a firm believer that software engineering classes should prepare students for the realities of the real world that exist out there. And I think it would be irresponsible to teach a software engineering class at this point and pretend like Gen AI doesn't exist in the real world.